We'll watch, of course. It's definitely making for slick travel out there, making for nuisance travel, heavy downpours, maybe interrupting some date night plans. But thankfully, we are not seeing those storms as energetic. And then off to the east and north, you can see that there's a lot of scattered showers stretching from coming into Sugar Hill, Johns Creek to the east into places like Jefferson and Commerce. Even Athens, you got a nice healthy thunderstorm on top of you. Severe thunderstorm warning just to the east of Athens. This is going to include folks that are in Oglethorpe and Madison counties. This warning is in effect until 9:15. This has also been a hail-producing storm, but it's also produced some decent winds as well. We can dive into it. A lot of the hail component now starting to get out of the way with this storm. So primarily this is going to be issued because of wind. And this is going to include folks that are in the Colbert area, Comer, stretching all the way to the east, just to the south of Bowman into Elberton, and then eventually, moving into South Carolina outside of our viewing area. So this storm's with us at least until 9:15. So we still have about 25 minutes left on this storm, but it is gradually pushing out towards the east. To the south, we're picking up on a lot of scattered showers and storms moving south of I-20. This is going to impact folks that are from Fayetteville through Jonesboro, McDonough. You got a nice little thunderstorm on top of you that hasn't really moved a whole lot over the last few minutes. This is not warned, but producing some lightning and some heavy downpours. Again, inside of these other little discrete cells out ahead, the potential for there to be some pea-sized hail, not out of the question, but nowhere near as aggressive as this storm that is now moving through Paulding County and stretching into Douglas County. Folks that are in Carroll County, you're included in this severe thunderstorm warning. We can do some deep dives into this again because we want to keep an eye on the hail core. And we are still picking up on what we can consider to be quarter-size hail just to the north of Villa Rica. This is headed into the Douglas area. The good news, we haven't seen much in the way of rotation with these storms. We have not had any tornado watches, no tornado warnings. And even as of our conversation this morning, a lot of the data that we were getting into the First Alert Weather Center was kind of dialing back on the potential for there to be tornadoes. So that's good news. Unfortunately, gusty winds can still be a bit of a beast, and that's what we're seeing unfold across the area here. And we can kind of query some of these winds because they're starting to arrive into Powder Springs. Folks that are in Villa Rica, Douglasville, you can see that line of delineation here where those gusty winds are. We had this conversation, if you were with us, what was that, Sunday, when we had these storms roll through. There's a lot of different ways that the National Weather Service issues severe thunderstorm warnings. Anytime those winds get gusty, roughly close to 60 miles per hour, you're now within that window of severe thunderstorm wind gusts. And right now we have 57 miles per hour winds starting to push into Lithia Springs and Douglasville. Ignore the negative. That's just really about the direction of the wind, because remember, radar can pick up winds blowing in any direction. Whenever you have a bright green and a bright red next to each other in a real tight, real couplet type situation, that's whenever you get rotation. Pick up on rotation, you get a tornado warning. That is not the case tonight, but the winds are very aggressive inside of this thunderstorm now, moving into Lithia Springs and Douglasville. So we're talking about 50 to nearly 60 miles per hour winds along this line. And we can actually zoom in a little bit more. This is actually starting to cross into a lot of communities, a lot of neighborhoods. Folks that are in the Lithia High Springs area, the high school, the Meadowview area, Blair Heights, Carmel Chase, Ivy Estates. If you're in Bent Pine, Orchard Park, you got, Aberdeen Estates, Oakdale Estates, the Knowles Estates, Sweetwater. All of these areas here, you're on the front line where those winds are starting to increase. So if you're in Doublegate, if you're in Anawake, if you're in Five Notch Acres, Foots Mill, Creek, Indian, Campbellton, all these are neighborhoods. If you're in any of those neighborhoods out ahead of this line, those winds will be kicking up within less than 5 minutes. So you don't really have any time to go outside and move your patio furniture. This is your time to just kind of like buckle down and stay in the house as these winds are starting to push to the south and to the east. Downwind, folks that are in East Point, I think this is going to clips you. Mableton, those winds are starting to kick up. You're right on the line of this warning. East Point, Forest Park, Riverdale, Union City, all areas that could expect to see those winds kick up within the next hour. Folks down in Tyrone, this is even going to hit where our radar site is down in Peachtree City. Still a bit of a ways away, but this is racing to the southeast at 50 miles per hour. So we want to give an update timeline, and I'm going to do the line from where the winds are the strongest, just so that we can give folks the most leadway as possible. And, we're here in Midtown. I think we're hearing some rumbles here from a little thunderstorm that's to the north of us. So we'll keep an eye on that too. But I want to time this severe warn cell out for all of our viewers who are at home watching and waiting on those winds to kick up. And what do you do in a severe thunderstorm warning? Because admittedly, it's not the same situation as a tornado. Although the wind sometimes can be just as strong, there are some very low end tornadoes that produce 70, 75 miles per hour winds. And we have some severe thunderstorms that do the same. So in essence, the risks are pretty similar between a severe thunderstorm and what we call a lower end tornado. Let's see if we can get this tracked out. There we go. Maybe. We'll try this again. One more time. Zoom this out. So what do you do whenever you find yourself in a tornado warned zone? Well, the good thing is we're always streaming whenever you have this kind of stuff that's going on. Severe thunderstorm warnings, we're talking about it, whether it's on the First Alert Weather app, if it rises to the occasion of something that needs us to live track you, live walk you through it because the storms are intense, we do that, and you can take us with you into your safe space. Now, with severe storms, I normally just go to the opposite area of my space that has trees. So there are trees near the living room. So then I kind of go and hang out near the bedroom because there's not trees in the back. Because that's our biggest issue, admittedly, sometimes with severe thunderstorm warnings. We're worried about trees coming down because the winds are elevated. So I would caution you, maybe just go to that side of the house that doesn't have any trees in it. But let's time this out for you. Mableton, you have no time to move. This thunderstorm is on top of you, arriving in Whitesburg in less than 4 minutes. Palmetto, if it holds together, it's going to be in your neck of the woods at around 9:10. Same for folks in Fairburn, East Point, and even in parts of Atlanta. This is going to arrive in College Park in Union City around 9:15. And I say the same for really folks out in Noonan and Target. So a very aggressive line of storms that continues to produce some very, very strong winds. And we're also picking up on some hail. I do want to check our National Weather Service chat because we talk with a lot of our folks that are actually out in the field. They're taking measurements for us. These are trained spotters. These are your emergency management officials that work for your counties. And let's see. So folks out in Carroll County and Douglas County, they're actually confirming, these storms are moving pretty swiftly, and there's some strong winds behind that line. Other than that, everything else is just par for the course. We have, what's that?
Close to Cobb County, the Braves are still playing. But it's interesting to see the lightning around the game.
Interesting.
If folks are interested in that, maybe.
Yeah. Let's see if we can pull up our camera here. If we can pull up our camera, I will take you guys to Truist Park so that we can get a look at what the skies look like out there. We'll have to be a little careful because, we can't be airing the game. We air the game on Peachtree TV. You should catch it when we do that because it's free. But right now, it's not one of those times, but we can.
You want me to move the camera?
Yes, can you?
Let me move it off the stadium. Hold on one second.
Sweet. We'll get that for you guys in just a second. We'll see if we can get.
Oh, the camera's down. The camera's down.
Okay.
You can show the radar there. That's an old camera.
Looks like we're down there, but we can switch computers and we can zoom into that area and see what we have. We'll actually switch the radar back to a more traditional view, the view that you guys are used to seeing when we're on the news looking for just rain and storms. We call that reflectivity. If you ever catch one of us in a nerd moment, we'll say reflectivity, we'll say velocity. But velocity is just a fancy word for wind. Reflectivity is a fancy word for us saying we want to see where the rain and the storms are. You can see that there's a lot of rain in that area. Got a couple of storms out there too, so wouldn't be surprised if there's at least a temporary delay at some point while we're watching this game unfold. But the good news is this area not under a severe thunderstorm warning. The severe thunderstorm warning just to the south and east of Mableton, so some good news there. I want to see if we can see if this hell core these hell cores have been pulsing all day this afternoon. They've been pulsing, and we're getting a little bit of that right now. We're not getting larger hail, but what we are seeing, at least with these latest radar scans, is that the hell core, the area that hail is falling, is starting to expand. Remember, it was just to the west of Villa Rica, and this pink color here was a very, very small shading. Now it's covering more real estate here, and we can zoom in. This is Douglas County, northwestern Douglas County. This is going to be just south of South Paulding High School, moving through Flying Ranchettes, Villa Rica, Ephesus Heights, moving into White City, and this is going to be just to the north of Bay Springs Middle School. This whole little quadrant right here is where we're picking up radar estimates of hail that's about, this is probably an inch in diameter. Right, yeah, an inch in diameter hail here. That's what we call quarter size, the size of an actual quarter picking up in this thunderstorm. We have to watch this because this is expanding, right? Something we've seen with some of these hail cores over the course of the last few hours is that they expand, and then in the center of that expansion, you can get sometimes larger hail cores, and that's what we're seeing. Latest radar scan is actually notching that up a little bit in the White City area and also to the south of Ephesus Heights. You can see just within that last radar scan, we were just talking about how the hail core gets a little bit bigger, and at some point, sometimes you can get a slightly larger production of hail out of this. So moving into the White City now, we're talking about 1.5 inches hail. That's going to be a little bit smaller than golf ball size, but still a decent chunk of ice coming out of the sky here. Same for folks that are in Ephesus Heights now. So something that we're watching unfold right before our eyes with this thunderstorm. And there's a lot of ways we can look at thunderstorms, right? We can dive into them, see how they are intensifying. One way you can see that a thunderstorm is intensifying is by doing a cross-section analysis. This is TV. We're not going to do that on TV. That's nerdy stuff for us behind. But we can basically see how tall the thunderstorms are growing in the atmosphere. If it keeps increasing in height, you have a developing thunderstorms, and sometimes you can see those. Everybody in school, we talked about cumulonimbus clouds, right? Typically, the taller they are, the stronger the storm. That's essentially the same thing. We can use radar to slice it and see how tall the storm is. Another thing we can see is the trends in lightning. Typically, if you see more lightning strikes, an increase in the lightning strikes, that's a way of saying that the storm is getting a little bit more energetic. With hail, whenever you start to see larger hail cores, so we're going to have a little science lesson. It's going to be real short. The way that hail is developed in these thunderstorms, you got updraft, you got downdraft. Sometimes these ice crystals, they get caught up in the updraft, downdraft. Whenever you look at a hail, you look at a piece of hail, it actually looks like it's been through it, right? It's not a smooth surface. It looks like it's been building on each other. And that's exactly what happens because as the hail goes up higher in the atmosphere, it gets cold. It comes back down a little bit in the downdraft, and it starts to melt just a little bit. But before it can come down and completely melt, it gets caught back up in the updraft and goes back up and refreezes. So that's why hail cores kind of look like they have layers, right? So the stronger the updraft, the larger the hail core typically is because it'll keep shooting that hail back up. And at some point, the hail gets large enough, heavy enough to actually fall beyond the hail core. So you know that whenever you see 1.5 inch diameter in hail, you know that you have a very aggressive thunderstorm. You know that you have a strong storm. And when you see the hail size increase, you know that you have a strengthening storm. So that's something that we're tracking as this storm is pushing through this part of now northwestern Douglas County. But that warning is extended all the way into Fulton County. Folks that are in Coweta County, eastern Carroll County, you're included in this as well. And this is also going to include Paulding and southwestern Cobb County. So a lot of energy with this storm. This is mainly a hailstorm, but we've shown you that there's been some wind in this, and that continues to be the case. We can take a look at where some of the winds are the strongest, and that's continuing to push to the east. So right now, this is starting to enter West Fulton County. This is going to be entering Fulton County now on all fronts. You can see this line, and I'll draw it out for you with my tracker, with my little pin here, where you see that green pushing in to that area where the red is. That is basically those strong winds pushing in one direction. This is straight line winds in a sense. This is winds that are gusting roughly at this point, probably 50 to 60 miles per hour. We can query these numbers just to take a look, but I wanted to get some communities here just because. There we go. Got a couple. And we'll query. Yeah, so right now, looks like that line is gusting roughly 40 to 50 miles per hour. You saw with that latest scan, goodness, you got an explosion in some of these numbers. Let's redo this. We're picking up near Cedar Grove, 58 miles per hour winds, 59 in Rivertown, 5 Notch Acres, 51. You got Cliftondale at just over 40, Cackle Corner, you got 50 miles per hour gusts, Rivertown just shy of 60, same for Cedar Grove. So yeah, still some very strong winds coming down with this warning. So while this is warned for hail, because we're seeing upwards of an inch in diameter hail being observed or at least measured by radar. We're also seeing radar indicated wind speeds that are roughly 50 to 60 miles per hour pushing into the southeast. So we'll put another tracker on this, give some folks some lead time, because we want you to have as much heads up as possible. This is moving rapidly to the southeast at around 50 miles per hour. Tracker. And the cool thing is we're getting very close to the radar site. So these estimates are pretty spot on typically. We're at the perfect spacing from the radar site to get some real low level winds. The radar beam is out, right? So the further away from the radar site you go, you're measuring winds that are elevated. And sometimes you lose a few miles per hour in theory, depending on how much of that wind comes down to the surface. But because we're not going that high, because this is our radar site here, this is probably very accurate as to what these folks are feeling out in some of these communities. So Palmetto, this is going to be knocking on your door in less than 4 minutes. Same for Fairburn. Noonan, this will arrive just after 9:10, moving into the East Point area at around 9:13. We got College Park downwind at 9:14, Tyrone 9:15, and Forest Park at around 9:20. So a very strong line of storms pushing now into Fulton County. It has now entered western Fulton County, and it is moving very swiftly to the southeast at around 50 miles per hour. This is what it looks like on just regular mode. That is a bad boy. Anytime that you check out, so look at these purples, right? Purples right here. This is in the heavy territory. And then you start to pick up on some blacks. It doesn't get any heavier than that. So you're not going to want to be driving in this area. This is a messy situation. A lot of lightning. Probably sounds a little bit scary if you're driving through it too, because this is very, very, very ominous here. You got heavy downpours, you got hail, and one way that you can kind of tell the difference between rainfall and hail, whenever real rain is hitting the front of your car and you're driving, it splashes and you keep driving. When you get hail hitting the top of your car, if it's small hail, because obviously you'll see the bigger hail, small hail, you'll see it bounce. It bounces. And that's how you can tell the difference between the two. And not to mention audibly, it's a bit of a different sound on the roof of your car. So just a mess on I-20, driving from Villa Rica into the city. If you're trying to do that right now, I'd hold off about 30 minutes. Let this storm get on out your way before you do that, because trying to drive in this is just not a good look right now. And we're getting more of these blacks returns on First Alert radar. That's just indicating some heavier downpours. We got a lot of tools at our disposal for tracking these storms and diving into them. I want to look at something that we can do. We can kind of look at the rainfall rate, but I like to preface the conversation. These are going to be some big numbers, right? Big numbers, probably upwards of 5 inches per hour is what we're going to get some measurements here. If this storm were to sit here, these areas for an hour, these areas would get more than 5 inches in an hour. That's not going to happen because this is moving at 50 miles per hour. But we're going to get some decent accumulation out of this storm because these rainfall rates in some of these places, let's query 5 Notch Acres, 6.5 inches an hour. Fairplay, 7 inches an hour. Anahuac, 5 inches an hour. I think that's how you say it. Rivertown, 5.5 inches an hour. Aberdeen Estates, nearly 7 inches of rain an hour. So these rainfall rates are incredible. A lot of these areas are going to easily get upwards of a half inch, maybe even 1.5 inches of rain as this line of storms push through, just based off of the strength of these downpours that are racing. So just imagine if you had a boundary. You know, sometimes you get storms that don't move, and you get this one area, 2 areas. Everybody else gets 1 to 2 inches of rain, maybe 3. Then you get this one area that gets 8, 9 inches, and you wonder how. If these, yes?
There's a ground stop at Hartsville-Jackson.
Ground stop. Nobody's surprised that there's a ground stop at Hartsville-Jackson.
And there is a rain delay for the Braves game.
Yeah, not surprised. We were having this conversation earlier with our news team. We were concerned that we could see a couple of storms start to move in and mess things up. We knew it would be good for the start of the game. We were worried about how this would shape up as far as the game ending because of these storms. You can see why there's a ground stop at Hartsville-Jackson. It's not safe to, I don't mean to be funny, but y'all saw these stories that we've been talking about over the course of the last couple of months about planes and, you know, nobody wants to take off or land when you're dealing with 60 miles per hour winds at the surface, which means that some of the winds could be elevated higher than that. It's a lot of turbulence. That's a lot of bumpiness. It's not safe. So these ground stops, they happen a lot here. It's the busiest airport in the world. So we got a lot of planes coming in and out of here. We don't really need to take any risks here with people's safety with travel. So definitely the right move, as we got some very strong winds off to the west. And this ground stop is probably going to last at least for 30 minutes or so, because very, very strong storms are just starting to race in. Looks like we have, yep, there we go. So I wasn't blind. So here's a look at Hartsville-Jackson right now. And Jen, can we turn the camera to the west?
Yes.
We're going to turn that camera to the west to see what we can see how far west it goes. But no doubt, in the far distance, there's going to be a lot of lightning. I may not be able to see it that well right now because that line is still a ways away, but it is creeping ever so closely. I want to switch to velocity. We can keep that shot up, though.
Wait, the other way. Hold on, the other way.
Yeah, so what we do have, you can see these winds starting to kick up. Just on the western wall of the perimeter, you're starting to see those winds increasing. So that'll eventually start to move into the territory where the airport is. The lightning is still a ways off to the west, so we still got a little bit of time here. Looks like...
So that's west, but it's difficult to see because it's nighttime.
Yeah. So...
But you can see the lightning. Oh, there was good lightning.
Yeah.
I'll keep it there. Ooh, the lightning. I'm going to lift it a little north, up.
And it does appear, yes.
Like that, so you can see the lightning.
In the meantime, we have seen, you got all that lightning. Yeah, keep that shot up of Hartsville-Jackson. In the meantime, they have extended the severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Fulton, Southern Cobb, Paulding. Looks like that was Carroll County as well, Douglas County. This has been extended to the south and east. So now more of Coweta County included in this severe thunderstorm warning. This is also going to include Clayton and Fayette counties, a large chunk of Henry County, Griffin, Spalding County, and this is stretching down to the south. This is also going to include, looks like, Pike County and northeastern Meriwether counties. This set to expire at 10 o'clock. We're not going to be with you until 10 because we have a 10 o'clock newscast, but we will be tracking these in the 10 o'clock newscast. And my recommendation for you is, if you want to continue to watch that, just kind of like a tease, turn your TV to Peachtree TV at 10, and we'll be tracking these storms live. I do want to make sure that folks that are in McDonough know that the severe thunderstorm warning that is in place for you is not because of the storms that are on top of you right now. These storms are sub-severe that are on top of you. This line of storms to the west is going to be the line that is causing the severe warning. It's going to be because of
even though it's his video,
some very strong winds. We're talking about roughly 60 miles per hour winds embedded in this storm. And we're also talking about some large hail. So getting all of these alerts. I want to check with our partners in just a minute to see if they have any other confirmation. If there are some folks that are joining us elsewhere and you're wondering, like, you're really hovering on this one storm and there's stuff going on elsewhere, I do want to make sure that I show you why we're kind of focused in on that. Because at least in North Georgia, this is the only severe thunderstorm warning that is in our viewing area. We're keeping an eye on this cell that is now starting to move into Cleburne, Alabama. That's severe thunderstorm warning. That severe thunderstorm warning now extended to folks that are down in Randolph County as well. That thunderstorm also producing some very strong winds. And at least earlier it had a decent hail core. I'm going to switch radar sites and then I'm going to dive into the wind. And the wind is... it's winding. It's giving a little bit. I want to check to see if we have a decent hail core with this. And yeah, this is definitely going to be a hail maker. We'll stop this. And this is just outside of Anniston and Oxford, stretching towards Lincoln. So not quite in our viewing area just yet. But if you're in Wedowee, you're going to have some small hail. Looks like you're on the weaker side of this, but you're going to have some decent wind pushing to your area as well. Wedowee coming downwind, you're going to have the more aggressive part of the hail core angling towards you. It's just been a bit of a slower mover than the storms that are pushing through portions of North Georgia. Diving back into this storm, I mentioned earlier that the hail core pulses and pulses down, and it has pulsed back down, which is good news, at least in the short term. That means that we're losing a little bit of energy, but still producing an inch in diameter. This pink here is going to be an inch. in diameter hail that's going to be pushing through the Cedar Grove area. Leicester, you got about quarter-size hail that's on top of you, and this is going to be moving to the south and east. So this is headed for folks that are in Suffolk, Down, Fireside, and Fairburn. Bear Creek Estates, you may get a little bit of that hail core as well. There's going to be the potential for pea-size hail included in all of this blue that you see there, but the bigger hail is going to be that isolated pink shading that you see right there. And there's still some decent wind with this storm. The winds up, and I hate to be the one to mention it, but we talk about this all the time. I just mentioned it pulses down, pulses up. Looks like this latest radar scan is picking up on a decent hail core. This is going to be moving into the Deep Creek Acres area, Cliftondale, Suffolk Downs. This should be moving southeast, so I expect this to shift more this way towards Fireside and Fairburn over the course of the next couple of radar scans. But you're still getting a decent storm here because it is still aggressive. It is still growing. It is still producing some very strong winds, and it is still producing a hail core. And I mentioned earlier, lightning is a way that you can tell just by putting this in motion and seeing the trends with lightning. This is a 15-minute radar loop, and it kind of gives us a little bit of an idea of how, yeah, it's a little bit less lightning, admittedly, than it was 15 minutes ago, but you still got a decent amount. And it's this part of the thunderstorm right here where you can actually see a noticeable increase in some of those lightning strikes. So something that we'll be watching as this pushes to the south and east. This is headed towards folks at the National Weather Service, so those guys are going to get rocked by these storms as they're moving to the south and east. No other warnings elsewhere. So we've been talking about this storm moving through Douglas County, and what we're getting reports from some of our partners telling us that there are a lot of their trees down on, you said houses, Jen? Trees?
In Douglasville, 2 different trees on 2 different houses in Douglasville, and a tree on a vehicle in Villa Rica.
We got a tree on a vehicle in Villa Rica, and we have 2 different trees down on 2 different homes in Douglasville. And that's why we were having that conversation earlier, right? Because, I'm not going to ever try to front with y'all. A severe thunderstorm is dangerous. It can be dangerous. It can be equally as dangerous as a tornado sometimes. Sometimes it can be more dangerous if you get a derecho, 70, 75, 80 miles per hour winds over a large stretch of area. Yeah, sometimes you can just get way more damage than you can get from a tornado. Whenever you have wind as an issue, and it's a severe thunderstorm warning, and we're not really worried about tornadoes, you don't necessarily have to go to your safe space. I would just observe my house. What is the layout of the home that I live in? The home, the apartment. Where I live, the trees are near my living room. So if there is a severe thunderstorm warning, and I'll admit, I sleep on the couch all the time just because I think it's comfortable. Got a nice love sack. I like it. This isn't a commercial for love sack. I'm just saying I enjoy my couch. However, if I'm laying on the couch, going to sleep, whatever, and there's a severe thunderstorm warning, and I'm not here tracking it for you, then I'm going to go into my bedroom. I'm going to go and hang out and sleep in the bedroom, go hang out in the bedroom until the storm passes, because there are no trees that angle towards or that could potentially angle towards that part of my space. So that would be the one thing that I would say. If you were anywhere downwind in portions of Coweta County, Fayette County, Clayton County, Henry County, Spalding County, Pike County, I think I named you all. Southern Fulton County and technically southwestern DeKalb County. If you're in any of those spaces, I would just go to the place in your house that has the less trees in its angle, in its pair view. So that's something you'll want to do. Whoa, what do we got here? So you can see the wind. You can take that full screen. Take that full screen. Take that full screen. You can see the wind whipping on the roads. You got the lightning in the background. Folks slowing down. Yeah, you better slow down. Winds are whipping. While we're looking at this image, can you guys tell me where this is? This is, just say one more time. Hollowell Parkway here in Atlanta. You can see those winds, man. You just look at the road. You can see how it's whipping the rain that has already fallen or is falling. You can see how it's whipping it along the roads. You can see that camera is actually shaking. And you got folks, somebody that's in this turning lane just chilling. That's the move here. Because this is a messy situation. Yeah, this is going to be at I-285, at the I-285 northbound ramp here. So just a strong storm. We're getting some verification from radar that the wind is whipping. We're getting some verification from our traffic cameras that the wind is whipping. So definitely not something that you want to get out into if you don't have to at night, just because, unfortunately, I've been here 2 years and I've seen, unfortunately, people lose their lives in their vehicles when severe storms roll through. And our goal here is your safety. That's our priority. And we want to make sure that you know what you need to know so that you can kind of keep you and yours safe. So severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to include the area where you just saw that imagery because of these strong winds that are pushing through the area. I like to do my little check of radar where we can look at some of those winds that are pushing in. We can dive into, we'll do some of this highly populated area first, just because I know some of y'all are curious what's going on inside the city. And it's not going to be as impressive as what's to the south. I'm just going to admit that. But yeah, Greenbrier Mall, we got a 35 miles per hour wind. College Park, 41 miles per hour wind. Cascade Heights, 30 miles per hour. Grenada, whoops, looks like I switched. My bad. 44 miles per hour wind out in Wolf Creek Amphitheater. So you got some strong winds in this area. And then to the south of it is where we're seeing some of the higher returns. So this is pushing into Fairburn, probably going to be close to 50, right? Yeah, 56 miles per hour winds now moving into the Fairburn area. That line stretches from Fairburn through Fireside, Union City, Bear Creek Estates, Carlton Woods. This line is still producing radar estimates of winds that are close to 60 miles per hour. So you still got some very strong winds moving through your area. And we're having some conversations in the newsroom with some of our producers about the storms, because it has been, admittedly, it's been an interesting stretch of weather over the course of the last few weeks, where we've had multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that have produced some real strong winds. We had hail. We got more hail tonight, actually some incredible hail across the area. We've had tornadoes that were confirmed. Whoa, look at this. This is from our station camera. That lightning show that we are seeing is just a mess. And actually, while we're looking at that imagery, I'm going to take us to radar, because you can kind of see we're right here in Midtown. So that Midtown vibe that you're seeing in the sky over here behind me is matching up with a lot of the lightning that we're seeing looking out towards the west and to the south. Believe it or not, you got a lot of lightning. So no doubt, a very strong storm.
Take over.
Yeah, you want to start in?
Tell them to put me on mic 3.
All righty, so First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez is here, and she's going to be diving into these storms and giving you guys what you need to know.
Let Patrick get some water. Thank you, Patrick. Great job. Yeah. Talking for so long gets exhausting, but the storms are moving through the metro area. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings over the area. I'm going to put my IFB in, because I actually took this out as I was checking the chat. We are constantly communicating with all our partners, emergency managers across all North Georgia, the National Weather Service as well. So we have eyes and ears and boots on the ground pretty much across all of North Georgia. That's how we're able to get damage reports to you so quickly. And that's how we're able to give you hail reports so quickly, winds so quickly. We're able to do that because we have all of those partners who work with us and get that information to us. So let me get our bearings here. So here's radar. So this is scanning. That's why it's going to take a minute to catch up. You're going to get the very latest radar scan as this scans the sky. You see the lightning is on top. So we've got about 381 lightning strikes here within the last couple of minutes. That biggest storm, you can see it very clearly, is in South Fulton, Douglas County. It's the same storm that moved through Douglas County, now moving into South Fulton County. The emergency manager in South Fulton County says multiple reports of trees down. There's just too many to name right now, but multiple reports of trees down. Also getting multiple reports of power outages because of the lightning, the winds, as Patrick showed you, 40, 50 plus mile an hour wind gusts, even stronger in the severe thunderstorms. Fairly large hail, still seeing that as an issue, but now winds is becoming the bigger issue with these thunderstorms. Earlier, the big issue was the hail. Now it's becoming the winds. So let's take you into Atlanta, because when you see those pinks, that's a good indicator of some of the strongest storms. So right now, that strongest storm, which is a severe thunderstorm warning right now, and actually that severe thunderstorm warning does encompass much of the metro, South Fulton County, Coweta County, Fayette County, Clayton County, Henry County, Spalding County, just a few of the counties in this warning. This is in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. So we've got another 35 minutes that we're under a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for the possibility of 60 mile an hour winds and fairly large hail. So I'm going to scoot this in. You can see this in real time. I actually have a computer station right here. That's what you're seeing in the corner of your screen that I'm actually on right now. I'm going to hold it just off screen, but much of my attention is going to be centered here just because we're going to delve into these storms in real time. So you're almost doing this along with me. I do want to point out these storms are morphing as they develop. And watch what's happening. So we showed you that camera in Midtown. Again, we're starting to see those pinks inside the city of Atlanta. So this is right on the downtown connector. We're starting to pick up some gusty winds. This is on the north end of that warning. But right now, the city of Atlanta, the west end, Capitol View, Sylvan Hills, near the Lakewood Amphitheater. If you've been to a concert there at the amphitheater there, very strong winds, very strong storm, possible some trees coming down in this area and some power outages. Greenwood Trailer Park, Pine Grove Trailer Park, near Pryor Road Southwest, Forest Park, the Forest Park area of Atlanta. So very heavy rain, strong gusty winds over that area, just on the northern end of that warning. And really much of inside the perimeter now dealing with strong gusty winds, very heavy rain, severe thunderstorm. Also seeing in DeKalb County, in the Redan area, this is south of Stone Mountain, seeing some very heavy rain over that area as well. These are torrential downpours. But the strongest storm is right here in Union City and Palmetto. Let's track this for you. We're going to track this storm. And we're actually going to go all the way to Atlanta because it does get very strong through Atlanta as well. This is moving to the southeast. So this is heading towards, and let me move this on the other side here since I can't move around too much. Riverdale area around 9:28, Forest Park at 9:30, Lake City 9:36, Morrow at 9:36, Fayetteville 9:38, Jonesboro at 9:39, Lovejoy at 9:51, towards Stockbridge at 9:52, Woolsey at 9:54, then towards the Hampton area at 10 o'clock. So these storms moving fairly quickly, as Patrick said, producing very heavy rain. Thankfully, the storms are moving because if this storm, as strong as it is, it's a very powerful storm, as strong as it is, if this was sitting over the same area for an hour plus, we would be talking about major flooding. But because it's moving, yes, it's dumping very heavy rain, and you are going to see some ponding on the roadways. At least it's moving in and out fairly quickly. But certainly, we'll be watching for the potential of strong damaging winds, some damage reports as well. So as we're looking at the radar, the strongest storm here, I'm going to pull up some of the damage reports we've been getting. Because again, I talked about how we get all this information in real time. And this is not moving my mouse, so I apologize in advance. In real time from the National Weather Service. There we go. And let's see some of these damage reports. I'm going to go back to some of the trees down. And here in Midtown, we're in Midtown, really close to Atlantic Station, very close to Georgia Tech, West Midtown area. And I mean, this is a massive concrete building with incredibly tall ceilings, and you can hear how heavy the rain is and how gusty the winds are over Midtown. So very strong thunderstorm over Midtown right now. But in Douglas County, where I think most of the damage occurred, that's when the storm, it's still very strong in South Fulton, moving into Fayette County, but it first moved over Douglas County, and we tend to see what the storm did to see what it's going to do. So the best predictor of kind of what's happening is looking up what it's already done. But we did get reports of golf ball size hail. This is from the emergency manager in Douglas County. His name is James Queen. He said golf ball size hail being reported in the city of Douglasville. We have a vehicle under a tree, a large area without power. Again, this is for Douglas County. Let's see, here it is. In Douglasville, a tree on a house on Jim's Court. Another report of a tree on a house on Laurel Ridge Court in Douglasville. Then we have a report of a tree on a vehicle in the area of 3657 Liberty Road. This is in Villa Rica. So again, multiple damage reports. The emergency manager in Fulton County says that there are several trees down in the city of South Fulton. Also in Winston, Georgia, which is also in Douglas County. This is the emergency manager in Douglas County. Says a tree on a car in the area of 4649 Post Road. In South Fulton, multiple reports of quarter-sized hail. So thankfully, that is the latest we have on damage reports. Sometimes there's a little bit of a lag, so although we'll get damage reports, it takes some time to get those into our system and to get those reported. But it is something we're watching closely. Of course, we've got reporters out there as well, sending them to these damage reports, driving. Oh, it's okay. I'm okay. You're good. Get ready for the 10. It's okay. See, that is teamwork at its finest. Meteorologist Patrick Pete just asked if he could run the radar for me. He's getting ready for the 10 o'clock show. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. That after being on here for over an hour, giving you the very latest information. Lots and lots of lightning. Let's pull up some cameras if we can. I can do that, or let's see. Let's pull up some cameras. Or if the director wants to do it, whatever you want to do, we are good. But I'm going to pull up. Oh, you got it? So this is over Centennial Olympic Park. Very heavy rain, tons of lightning. You can see that in the distance. I mean, we can hear it here. We're pretty close to downtown. And certainly the south of the city is where the worst of it is located. Let me go back to radar. I keep going between devices. Let me show you, let me give you a time lapse here. Can we actually go to Max 1? Excuse me, go to Max 1. So if we can go to Max 1 quickly, I want to show kind of the timeline of when this will move out, because I know a lot of you can't relax, can't go to bed until you know the storms are out and the severe weather threat is over, especially if you've got little babies at home. So I totally get it. You don't want to go to bed until this is over. So here's one of our high resolution models. This updates every hour. So this is pretty much as accurate as it gets. Keep in mind, I showed you the radar. This is almost identical to what it looks like at 9 o'clock. So we look at these models. We look at if they're accurate and with what they're showing right now. It's a good predecessor if it will be accurate in the next hour or two. This is pretty much spot on. So I have very high confidence in this model. So we're going to go literally hour by hour. So here it is at 10 o'clock. Still seeing very heavy rain across the northern suburbs. But again, notice that's now south. We're watching those strongest storms south of Atlanta. But certainly at 10 o'clock, I think the biggest cluster of severe weather or possible severe weather will be in Atlanta and point south as we take you to the 11 o'clock hour. And again, green is still rain. So you may still have rain at 11 o'clock. But again, that heaviest rain at 11 o'clock will be south and east of Atlanta. So moving through Jasper, Putnam County, Greene, Oglethorpe County, Clark, Oconee County, and moving through the South Metro. That's at 11 o'clock. As we take you to midnight, so this is really what we've been saying the entire week. That severe weather threat is over by midnight.
Jen,
yes.
Go back to radar real quick.
Okay, go to radar.
That's over 2-inch in diameter.
Wow, hail. Thank you, Patrick. Yes. Here, I'll let you do. Yeah, so this is in Forsyth County. This is just south. This is the same storm we've been watching in Douglas County to South Fulton County and now into Forsyth County. We don't get blacks very often. White, we never get, hardly ever. 3-inch, this is radar estimated hail sizes, but I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen multiple 2-inch hail reports. Radar is estimating 3-inch hail in Fayette County. So hopefully those vehicles are parked inside. I'd be interested if we've got some car lots, some car dealerships in Forsyth County, because 3-inch hail.
It's crazy.
That is downright dangerous.
Yeah.
3-inch, that's this big falling on vehicles or your head. So do not go outside during this storm. A lot of times we talk about tornado warnings and the threat of tornado warnings, and that's what scares people the most, understandably so. But straight line winds is just as dangerous, and very large hail is very dangerous as well. If you get a 3-inch diameter size hail ball falling on you, certainly very, very dangerous. So again, 3-inch size hail reported right now, radar estimated 3-inch hail. And that's why we have this severe thunderstorm warning. And
that's bigger than a baseball. That's
bigger
about
than a baseball.
Teacup
size hail. Again, radar estimated. So we're going to see if this verifies. Radar does a pretty good job estimating the size of the hail. At a minimum, this is very large hail. At a minimum. At a minimum, I think we probably have 2-inch hail. Whether it's 3-inch or not, we'll see. We'll get images of that if that's the case. If you are in Forsyth County from your window, if you can safely take a picture outside and send it to us, that would be amazing. If we can see that, do not go outside in this thunderstorm. Please do not go outside. 3-inch hail is incredibly dangerous. This is just east of Tyrone. This is south of Fairburn, south of Union City. And again, now I'm going to pull up, as we're looking at that radar, I'm going to pull up here. If we're getting, nope, no reports of anything. I'm waiting to see if there's anything being reported, because obviously with hail that large, it's not something we see very often across our area, but certainly something very dangerous. Wow, 3-inch hail estimates right now in South Fulton County. Just incredible to see. Let me go back to the radar here. very strong thunderstorm. And this is what we've been watching pretty much the entire, wow, lots of lightning, very heavy rain, strong winds. There's the reflectivity moving through Fayette County. This is the strongest part of the storms were those darker pinks. Another indicator of strong gusty winds, we talk about this too, is the gradient. Whenever it's basically not raining at all in Peachtree City, and then you go straight to pink. When you go from pink to green in such a short space, that is indicative of very strong winds. So we're seeing strong winds with this. We're seeing obviously very large hail possible with this storm as well. And this is moving into Coweta County. So this is on the northern edge of Coweta County. And again, the brighter the color, the stronger the winds. Let's put some of these winds on here. Let's see, 40, 50. So that's what we've been seeing. That's not incredibly strong, but certainly I think we will see gusts even higher than that. And we have seen reports of numerous trees down. So at a minimum, we know trees coming down is certainly a possibility. Actually, can we look at power outages, Patrick?
Yes.
Since you're on there, let's look at power outages.
We'll turn off
the lightning
because it kind of muddies the
Hard
water.
to see.
So I wanted to say,
yeah.
let's talk with percentages. This is going to be percentages of the counties because you got a decent amount of folks that is Haralson County that are out of power. We'll create that for you. So 15% of the county.
Wow, that's
15%.
That's a
people
lot.
that live in the county.
15% of the county. And you can see the power outages are directly related to where that strong, this is that same storm. It started in Haralson County, then it moved into Douglas County, then we saw it move into South Fulton County, and now it's moving into northern Coweta and Forsyth County. This is the amount of people without power. Again, we've seen bigger numbers, but this is pretty big, especially when you're trying to go to bed at night. The worst is when you lose power, especially since it's still pouring down rain. If you do not have the First Alert Weather app yet, why? We've been sending constant updates the entire night so you know how large the hail. In fact, earlier we had a report of 1 3/4 inches, so almost 2-inch hail in Forsyth County, south of the city of Cummings. So now we're seeing the strongest storm south of the city, but certainly the one in northern Coweta County through Forsyth County. Not Forsyth, for Fayette County. Fayette County. Fayette County.
It's expanding.
It is expanding and expanding into Coweta. But yeah, large hail. And again, we're seeing those whites. That is radar estimated very large hail of 2 to 3 inches. This is near Fayette Villa Estates. This is near Stony Brook Plantation. This is near Beverly Manor. 2 to 3 inch hail possible. So stay inside. Stay away from the windows. Again, not only large hail, but gusty winds, a very big threat as we continue through the evening, as these storms continue to roar across portions of metro Atlanta. This will end around midnight. So I know it's 9:37, you want to get to bed. This will end around midnight. The severe weather threat will be over. In fact, even earlier than that in Atlanta. But right now, this is the area of greatest concern. Coweta County, you're included in that severe thunderstorm warning from noon into Sonoya. Fayetteville is getting pounded right now. Fayetteville, very heavy rain, large hail. Riverdale, Jonesboro area. We do know there is a ground stop at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. So this is creating a mess at the airport as well. And even though the storm, or at least the strongest part of the storm, is now south of the airport, remember the planes have to take off and land. So even if we have a severe thunderstorm within the vicinity of the airport, it's going to take a while for that ground stop to be lifted. So even if the severe part is not directly over the airport, they've got to wait until that severe thunderstorm moves out of the way and those planes can safely land and take off with that thunderstorm in the area. Let's put up some cameras. I just saw the camera here in my periphery over Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Lots of lightning out there right now through Midtown, through downtown, especially south of the city at the airport. I think the airport really getting the worst of it as far as where our cameras are located with very, very heavy rain. Here's a look at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Again, pouring down rain, lots of lightning over the area right now over Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And this is what we're seeing really, especially south of the metro. Here's the airport, Hartsfield-Jackson, where they are currently at a ground stop. So you'll notice you're not going to see any planes taking off or landing until that storm passes. Can you imagine if you had a layover and you're at the airport, it's 9:38, you miss your bed so bad and your flight just got delayed for an indefinite amount of time? It is the worst feeling. We've all been there. Here's Midtown. Notice those leaves in the foreground, how they're moving around. This is in Midtown Atlanta. This is our camera on top of our building near Atlantic Station. So windy. Oh, did you see that lightning strike? That was almost across the entire sky. Lots and lots of lightning right now. So unfortunately, because of that, we're getting lots of reports of trees down, power outages, trees on vehicles, trees on homes. Not what we want to see with these gusty winds and large hail. We don't see very large hail very often in Metro Atlanta. We'll get hail, normally pea-sized hail. But when you're talking about hail that's 2 inches and 3 inches in diameter, not something we see very often. So will be interesting to see. That's when you have all those assessors knocking on your door the next day for hail damage on your roof. Certainly, this will create some damage on some roofs in Fayette County, where the strongest storm is located right now. So again, Riverdale to Jonesboro to Fayette County, Fayetteville into Coweta County through the Noonan area. And we're actually going to make this lapse here. You can see it moving. So you can see the general trajectory, and we're going to track this for you. There we go.
Look like you got a little bit of an outflow too, moving through. Okay. That's going to be Coweta County, Heard County, a little bit of outflow out ahead of that storm too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Let me turn. There we go. So this is heading towards Sharpsburg at 9:44. Stars Mill High School at 9:50. Lovejoy at 9:51. Woolsey at 9:53. Sonoy at 9:57. And the lightning strikes are incredible on these cameras. Hampton at 10:03, Brooks at 10:05, McDonough at 10:12, Atkinson Elementary School at 10:24. Again, very large hail, strong gusty winds moving to the southeast. This is through Coweta County, South Fulton County. We're seeing very strong winds, as Patrick pointed out. I'm going to show you what he was talking about. So we call it the outflow. Do you see this? You almost see this green line ahead of that thunderstorm. Do you see that there? This line? That is what we call an outflow boundary that develops ahead of the severe thunderstorms or thunderstorms. And it's really strong gusty winds pushing ahead of that storm. So if you are even not in that area in red and yellow, but you're on this outflow boundary, what we call an outflow boundary, you're feeling those very strong winds in the Grantville, Hogansville area. That can cause some trees to come down as well. But Fayetteville, Sonoya, Fayetteville, very heavy rain, some fairly large hail over the area. Let's take you where else. This is that warning we have. And then we have Cleburne, Randolph. We've got a warning there. So in Randolph County, that is until 9:45 Central Time, 10:45 Eastern Time. We have a severe thunderstorm warning there. For again, hail and strong damaging winds. Could see wind gusts of 60 miles an hour. And then as we take you, I want to just update you with the rest of North Georgia. Across North Georgia, and we have a traffic camera there in Coweta County. Coweta, really nasty storm moving through Coweta County. So thank you for pulling that up. Dawson County, Forsyth County, northern Fulton County, very strong gusty winds, heavy rain, lots of lightning over that area as well. Not severe, but it is raining heavily. This is really the only severe part in Metro Atlanta that we have, but it's a fairly large warning. And this one is until 10 o'clock. So about 15 minutes. I do think this may need to be extended a little further. We'll have to see if it maintains its strength. But this is for Coweta County, Fayette County. This is for Clayton County, Henry County, Southern Rockdale County, Spalding County, all included in this warning as this storm continues to move to the southeast. Again, this is until 10 o'clock tonight. Severe thunderstorms, 60-mile-an-hour winds capable. Also very large hail capable with this storm. The good news is these are moving very quickly. They are moving to the southeast very quickly. So that's the good news, is that I think that threat will be over even before midnight. The earlier, the better, so we can all sleep soundly tonight. But for now, that greatest severe threat is south of the city. And then we'll be watching these storms closely in Cleburne and Randolph County. We're going to watch how these develop. But in general, you see the movement of these moving more to the south-southeast. So we'll have to see if these end up clipping portions of Troup County. But the greatest threat is over here across portions of Spalding, Henry County, Coweta County, Clayton County, Fayette County. This is the same storm that did move through Douglas County, South Fulton County, and then now moving into Coweta County. I'm going to check the chat again, see if we've got any updates here from the National Weather Service as far as the hail. They've got some, wow, that is a big, okay. So we're getting, let's see what we have. So we got the quarter-size hail in South Fulton. We talked about that one. Palmetto Library, some large hail. We're getting reports of fairly large hail that was Woodstock. That was earlier. Dime-size hail in Fayetteville. And we did get reports from the National Weather Service. They're going to trim the watch, and they probably already did. So let's look at that. So the National Weather Service is really great about when the severe thunderstorm warning is over, they will take out those counties, or the severe thunderstorm threat is over, they will remove the counties. So they haven't done yet. So right now it's all of North Georgia, but they're going to trim a large portion of our area out of the watch, and it's going to be mostly those areas north of I-20. So let me see if that's, looks like we'll be moving the northern portion, I-20 northward, southern tier. So they are going to trim the counties north of I-20. You will be removed from the watch, which means that threat of severe weather will be over for you. This is going to happen in real time, so you're going to see it when I see it. They're going to take these counties out. They are going to add some additional counties to the south. So even though Upston County was not in the watch, Upston County will be added to the watch as they update this, and areas north of I-20 will be removed from that watch. So really good news. If you are removed from the watch, even though it's still raining and it will continue to rain for the next hour or two, you can go to bed soundly knowing that that threat of severe weather, at least additional severe weather, will be over for areas north of I-20. South of I-20, that watch will continue as that threat of severe weather continues. And again, just really, really nasty storm. Let's go back to Barron here. Nasty storm moving through the area. Yes. Oh, your mic's up. Your mic's up.
Sweet. I'm just watching a lot of folks on our YouTube stream.
Yes.
And
do you have questions?
Yeah, but it's a lot of the questions we get this time. Whenever you are in an area that we're not talking about, like a lot of folks that are in Cobb County, points to the north, you got some storms on top of you. It's rain, it's lightning, it's very, very small hail at this moment, and that risk is diminishing. So the reason why we're not focusing on those areas is just because that it's just run-of-the-mill storms that we're all used to. We tell you that they're coming so you know how to plan ahead for them, but it's not dangerous. Whereas some of these storms that we're focusing on, there's at least some elements of danger with the wind and with the hail. So,
that's true. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah. And again, it's lightning, it's raining hard. I get it. I'm in Midtown. We're hearing it. We're not technically in that warned area, but it is raining very heavily. We've got lots of lightning. So yeah, even though, so again, I pointed those areas north of I-20, it's still raining. We still have lightning, but that threat of severe weather is coming to an end for areas along and north of I-20. So the severe weather threat is over, but it will continue to rain with lightning for the next hour or so. But after about midnight, that threat of severe weather will be over for our entire viewing area. And the reason we're focusing on this area south of Atlanta, that is where we have a severe thunderstorm warning. So that is why. If we're not showing your area, it's not that we don't care, I promise you. It's just because you're not in the warning. And when you're in the warning, that's when you're talking about dangerous storms, trees coming down on homes or cars, or people being injured. So we want to really focus our attention on those areas that are dangerous right now. And it is going to be that area south of Atlanta. Storms moving super fast. So, I mean, this is moving into Spalding County now. I'm going to zoom in here. This is now already on the southern end of Fayette County. This is Coweta County. It's now moving out of Coweta County and moving into Spalding County. So this is a quick moving storm, but very heavy rain nonetheless, lots of lightning, large hail with this storm as it continues to move to the south and east. This will expire at 10 o'clock. We will keep you covered. We've been updating the app all day, all night, as we always do, 24/7. So make sure you have our First Alert Weather app. Here's a camera. This is Old McDonough Road in Rockdale County. And again, look on the street. You can see how strong the winds are whipping, because you see the rain almost being pushed by those winds.
Check the chat.
Oh,
yeah, you just
let's check the chat.
Yeah, we got a new report.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, anytime.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the camera. Anytime. No, I appreciate it. So Patrick's saying we have some new information on the chat. Okay, so a large tree down on Villa Rica Highway. So this is Highway 61 at Ladora Drive, south of Dallas. So this is in Paulding County. So this is around 9 o'clock. All lanes of Highway 61 blocked. One vehicle struck by a tree as it fell and has front damage. Paulding Fire and Paulding emergency workers have cleared the tree. So works to show you how fast and quickly they work. This happened at 9 o'clock. All lanes were blocked. Tree fell on a vehicle, front end damage on the vehicle, and they have cleared the tree. And it's 9:48. Just incredible. Great job to all our first responders out there. Thank you for all that you do. Cannot thank you enough, especially with this happening right now. Nobody wants to be out in it. And remember, our first responders, they are in the grid of it, making sure you and your family are safe. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Couldn't do anything without you. Much, much appreciated. Strongest storm now in South Fulton County, South Clayton County, moving through the Henry County area into Spalding County. Let's go back. I want to see if areas north of I-20, if the new updated watch has been updated. And they might be waiting just for the storms. It has not, but it will be. They'll take out these counties north of I-20 here shortly and include Upson County in that watch. But again, the threat continues until about midnight. After that, the severe weather threat will be over. Let's go back to first alert radar. And guess what? You're going to get more of us because at 10 o'clock on Peachtree TV, so in about 10 minutes, first alert meteorologist Patrick Pete, he's going to be tracking these storms in real time and giving you all the latest on what you need to know for the evening and beyond. We have a big cool down in the forecast. It's going to be much cooler tomorrow and Saturday. First alert meteorologist Patrick Pete's going to have more on the weekend forecast, but of course on this threat and when it will end. We're going to leave you now and get ready for that 10 o'clock show, which is now less than 10 minutes away. I'm so glad you joined us on this extended edition of Atlanta News First Plus. We will always be here around the clock to keep you and your family safe, and we'll see you at 10 o'clock on Peachtree TV and then 11 o'clock on Atlanta News First. Stay safe and have a great night.